Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling. This is the Raging Verbalist number 338. If you're keeping track, and who wouldn't be if you're a longtime viewer, glad that you're back. If you're new, welcome. I don't dive too much into politics, but dive into something that's top of mind for me and hopefully helps you understand a little bit more about the world around you and all of that. So glad that you're here. Let's hit that like button, that subscribe button, all of that. You can see us on YouTube and on my Facebook group, which is Position to Win Book, Position to Win Book, Position to Win Book. Okay. So I had oral surgery this last week, which is why you're not going to see me like grinning because it's, hey, this is still not a happy side of my mouth and all that. But last weekend, getting kind of ready for this surgery, which happened on Tuesday, I was sitting there and I was going, well, okay, I've been thinking about it. I'm not a big fan of going to the dentist anyway, but I had a bad dream and I had this fear that I said, man, I just can't go through with this. I'm going to stop this. And what's caused this, by the way, the reason why I'm there is that I had to have some teeth removed and I've got to go down the implant route. And that is not a fun thing, but it permanently solves these. If you leave the gaps, you're gonna start losing even more teeth and more problems, and that's not good. But it almost stopped me from going forward with my oral surgery. And one of the things, of course, is that I had to kind of say, well, you're here, you gotta go through with it. So, not knowing what to expect. I mean, they tell you a little bit, they show you some diagrams, but that's not the part that really is there. And frankly, I understand probably why they don't show you or tell you more because more people wouldn't show up. I mean, they have to charge a fee for people who don't show up, and yeah, I mean that's a big deal. So why don't they tell you what the prep is going to be before the surgery begins? Is because scary. So they put you in the chair, they put the oxygen sensor on, they put the cuff on, they get you hooked up, they start taking your blood pressure. They were surprised that it was up when I got there. I would be surprised if it wasn't. I would be thinking maybe I was a little comatose. Did go down, kind of relaxed. And then they asked me, well, hey, by the way, are you claustrophobic? Claustrophobic? And I said, no. And they said, yeah, because we got to wrap you up because since we're going to do surgery, we want to block everything off. So they basically blindfold you with gauze and they wrap you up in like a little cocoon and spread all kinds of yucky looking stuff and away you go. And so that was strange because I didn't have any idea what that was. By the way, I'm like I said, I'm already nervous, but now I'm kind of committed that I'm going to go through with it. So, but I ended up being in the chair for 3.5 hours. So it was serious. They had to lift up my sinus. They had to do a bone graft. They had to do all of that stuff. Don't do it if you don't have to, but if you do, you do. And it was a lot of, it's painful. I mean, and they gave me, local anesthesia. So that means you're wide awake for all of this, which is great because you hear people talking about things, you hear background noises, since you can't see, you're my ears were at a heightened sense of hearing, and away I go. Now there was an advising physician who was there because again, I'm doing this at a dental college, and and by the way, the reason why I'm there is that the place that my wife goes to, I went there, and that surgeon was, let's just say, she had no personality. So I just said, okay, I can't do that. Which, by the way, I mean, I'm sure that cost me some more, dental health because I just couldn't stand that clinic at all. I won't trash him here, but I got to tell you, they were just sucked, and I did not want to ever go back there. But they have an advising physician, and he's there to guide my surgeon, and she's learning. but she's done it before. So, I mean, this isn't like, her first go around, luckily. And, he turned out to be kind of an interesting guy because he starts sounding like a comedian. Because most of the time when you have somebody who's the advisor, they're very much like, monotone and not doing anything. And he just had a rat-a-tat-tat, balls of his feet, kind of a delivery kind of thing. And I mean, it's like, who is this guy? And I made a determination I'd have to, meet him when we wrapped up and everything. But it actually created a distraction because I needed to make it through this process, which is tough because I don't know how many. I asked him how long is it going to take. Well, yeah, not as bad as asking, because I am involved in an engineering services company. When we ask somebody how long is it going to take to fix a software bug, the answer is as long as it takes to get it fixed. Now, I'm sitting there and I tried to distract myself, but what came out of that and what I ended up doing is something popped into my head, which is, this doctor had just this very interesting style, and I really like listening and hearing voices, not voices in my head, but voices. And so I just start, saying, okay, can I create something while I'm here? Can I get something creative and get my head off of I want to run out of the chair screaming and yelling and doing all that, which wouldn't help. So at least they came out with a little comedy bit that I'm fleshing out, and we'll see where it goes. If it goes somewhere, I'll tell everybody here. But I started writing a comedy bit and developing characters and how he would fit in and what he would do and what would that be. Now it had nothing to do with dentistry, but this guy, I could just imagine this guy as a sex coach for various, and it would be obviously tongue in cheek, but it would be, that's what it hit me. Now, so it helped me make it through that. And I did meet him and I told him, hey, I think you're a pretty funny guy. And everybody around him, of course, is, puts on their poker face and is very serious. Oh, don't, oh, don't laugh. I said, you got a great style. You should be a comedian. You should do some stand up. Go do an open mic or something. He thought that was pretty strange. He said, I never had anybody say that to me. Now, it's probably too late for me to say that maybe I should have taken better care of my teeth. That happens. But again, part of it is that the dental profession, and I used to do consulting to dentists, not anymore. I've kind of taken the pledge because they don't have a clue about how hated and despised they are. In fact, I was talking to a business partner of mine whose wife needs to get an implant, and she is just out of her, ooh, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, you probably don't want to tell her that, I ended up with 8 different shots, and away we go. And he's like, nope, not telling her that. She wouldn't show up. But I don't think the dental profession really understands, and they want to say placating things. So when you have somebody tell you that it's going to be another 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that, and it's not, every time they tell you that, you get a little bit more pissed. You get a little bit more like, what is going on? What, can't they just say, we're making progress. We got some more to go. Hang in there. But they tell you a number, and I'm a numbers guy. I'm a time kind of guy. So, wow, that's not good. So now what I learned about going forward with my treatment plan is that I'm going to end up with, better than I was before, taking better care of them. And we'll see where that goes. Now, it's going to take 6 months for this bone graft to kind of take hold and heal, assuming it all goes as planned and everything. So that's good. And then I'm going to be getting an implant. Now, there's another implant. I could get actually 3, but they've decided 2 are necessity, and we'll see how that goes. So that one will probably be in October. So that's kind of I don't know how that's actually going to work per se, because again, this is all untested ground. But what I can believe or can tell you is, don't believe the bullshit that they have on the internet and on television, how you can get it all done in one fell swoop. You come in and they take them all out, they bolt them all in and all that stuff. Doesn't seem like that's really possible without cutting lots of serious corners and all of that stuff. So I say, no, that's not correct. So what I can tell you is that, I've made it through, and hopefully, knock on wood, a week from Monday, I go in for my follow-up and it's healing up and all of that. Right now I'm on soft foods and, you know, eating weird stuff that I wouldn't normally eat, but we got to get the calories somehow. So until we meet again, here's what I will tell you is that if you're sitting there saying, well, John, maybe I need something else to distract me before you come out with your comedy bits. But here's what you got to do. You go get my book, Most Businesses Fail in the First 5 Minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it, Position to Win. Go pick it out at my website, positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. Or you can always get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere that books are sold. You can get the physical copy. You can get it through Kindle. You can also get it through Apple iBooks and Barnes and Noble Nook. So until next time, until we meet again, this has been John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling, with a sore mouth, soreness and healing. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. And make sure, and and it's in, by the way, it's in this book. I mean, and I got it actually from one of my dental consulting clients, which is this. And maybe this is the best lesson you're going to get from today, which is only floss around the ones that you want to keep. And no truer words, I think, could be said about oral hygiene. And with that, we are out and we are done.